Today we're going to take a look at some panoramic film cameras and then show you how to shoot true panoramic images with your digital camera. Hey everyone, Sean here with Fotodiox.com and welcome back to Film Friday. On this episode we're going to be looking at panoramic film cameras and we're going to start with this little guy. This is not a real panoramic film camera. It might say panorama on here, but in the 90s there was this weird fad where they would basically just slap panorama on a little plastic point and shoot camera. They actually had a little switch on the top that you would push and it would drop down little plastic masks to cut light from hitting the top and bottom of your piece of 35mm film. And as you can see, it didn't do a great job. These masks are not very clean cut. They're kind of bumpy and they create very unclean lines. And to be honest, I really have no idea why this was a thing, because you weren't actually getting a true panoramic image with more resolution than a normal shot of 35. You were just cutting off the top and bottom of your image. And I mean, yeah, the viewfinder would also adjust when you push this button, so you could kind of compose your panoramic image. But I shot with this a while back, and I gotta say the viewfinder wasn't very accurate. I tried to compose for the panoramic and didn't crop very well. So these are totally crappy. I don't recommend using these. Although I will say I do kind of like the lens on this camera. I think it created a pretty beautiful lo-fi image. So yeah, weird 90s point and shoot panoramic craze. Don't believe it, they're not true panoramic cameras. But this is a true panoramic camera. This is a Lomography Sprocket rocket. And let's take a look at the back here. And as you can see, this gate is twice the size of a normal 35mm film gate. So you're actually getting twice the resolution and you're getting a true panoramic 35mm photo. The reason it's called the Sprocket rocket is it's designed to expose the sprockets as well. But I find this kind of cheesy. I mean, if I'm shooting a panoramic image, why do I want sprockets in my shot? I get it, it's kind of fun, but you can get that by just putting 35mm film in a medium format camera, whereas this is a dedicated panoramic camera. It's not DIY. So I'm going to use the included mask that actually crops out the sprockets and gets you a true panoramic image without any of that weird DIY look. With sprockets, it's a 72 by 33mm image, but with the sprocket mask, it's a 72 by 24mm image. Still great resolution, way better than the super lo-fi resolution of this fake panoramic camera. And the lens on the Sprocket rocket is super wide. When you factor in the crop, it's about a 14mm full frame equivalent. And you'll see by these images I captured, because it's so wide angle, you do get a lot of distortion on the edges of the frame. But I really like this look. I love the depth of field. I love kind of the soft vignette on the edges. It really gives you this really cool look that's really hard to accomplish. Kind of a large format film look with just 35mm film. So yeah, I definitely recommend this camera. If you're a 35mm shooter and you're looking for something fun and creative to do and you want true panoramic imagery, this is a great option. And I love the resolution I can create with this. You know, it's double the resolution of a normal shot of 35mm film, so definitely worth looking into. Now, if you're looking for even more resolution in your panoramic film photography, I would recommend the Hoya 120 WPC. WPC stands for Wide Pinhole Camera. The aperture is f1.35. It's got a 120-degree view angle lens. It's not really a lens, it's a pinhole, but it creates panoramic pinhole images. You just push this button here to open the shutter, let go to close. You can also put a shutter release in here if you have it on a tripod. And I would definitely recommend using this with a tripod because it's pinhole. You do have to do longer exposures than a normal camera. And let's open up the back here. And yeah, look at that film gate. Quite a lot of resolution. Now, because this uses so much film per shot, a normal roll of 120 film will only get you 6 images. So if you're using this camera, you want to make sure you're only getting the best shot. This is not a point and shoot camera. You don't have that many images per roll. And I've only shot one roll with this camera so far, and a couple of the images turned out pretty well. But as you can see in these images, because this is a pinhole camera, you are going to get vignetting. The edges do go pretty dark. But yeah, I do like these images. They're pretty cool. And it's a really fun style of pinhole photography to shoot if that's something you're into. And if you're not, there is actually a version of this camera that has a lens on the front. So it's just a normal panoramic lens camera. same size, but instead of a pinhole, it's got a lens. I'll probably end up getting one of those in the future. One of the big reasons people like panoramic imagery is it's great for landscapes because you just have a lot more width to work with. You can capture a lot more in an image that you can with a normal like 35mm full frame crop. And that goes for digital landscape photography as well. But the downside with digital photography is, as far as I know, there aren't very many digital cameras that have panoramic sensors. I'm sure there are some out there, but they're not the most commercially available. So generally speaking, you're gonna be shooting with a camera that's limited to one sensor size. And that's gonna be, a rectangular shape. This is a full frame Sony. So really the only way to create a panoramic image with this camera is just to shoot wider than you need and crop panoramic in post. Or you can use the Brennizer method, where you have the lens and you take a picture, you move the camera, take a picture, move the camera, take a picture, and then you stitch those images together in post. But something cool that we offer here at Fotodiox is our tilt rocker tilt shift adapters. This is our Pentax 645 to Sony E tilt rocker adapter. And this is a tilt shift adapter, so it has full shift functionality and full tilt functionality. These adapters are great for selective focus and perspective control, but you can also use them to shoot panoramic photography. Let me show you how. Let's mount this 75mm Pentax 645 medium format lens on the adapter. Nice thing about this lens is the image circle is much bigger than the full frame sensor in my Sony, which means when I mount the tilt rocker on the camera, I can push this button on the adapter, shift the lens all the way to the right, take a photo, shift it all the way to the left, take a photo, and I've got two photos taken through the same lens, the same image circle, so they have that consistency, and I can take these two images and stitch them together in post for a true panoramic image. So in a sense, our tilt rocker adapters can turn your mirrorless digital camera into a true digital panoramic camera with just some simple stitching. And again, you can use the Brennizer method. That's just using the lens on your camera, taking a bunch of different photos, stitching them together, and that's great. But what's nice about using a tilt rocker adapter is you have the consistency of this lens. It's not a bunch of different lens images stitched together. It's one lens and you're shooting through the same image circle and you're just capturing different parts of the image circle, so you get a more consistent one lens image like you would with a normal film panoramic camera like the Sprocket Rocket. Okay, that was a quick look at some affordable film panoramic cameras and how to use our tilt rocker adapters to create digital panoramas. If you have any questions about anything I've talked about in today's video, comment below. I'd love to help you out. Click the link in the description below to learn more about our tilt rocker and shift adapters, and click here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox.com, and happy panoramic shooting.